Well, good morning, everyone. This is Natalie Weinstein with The Home Show, and I'm looking forward to spending another Sunday morning with you. And I have a most interesting guest this morning. And I really had an opportunity to chat with her a little bit, but prior to the show. But I have many questions that I'm sure will be questions you will want to ask her. She's a very interesting gal, and she wrote a book that intrigued me because I am a condo owner, and because Long Island, which is my beat, has become wildly populated with condos over the past few years. She is an expert in condo management and has written a book called Condo Buying and Ownership Made Simple: Tips to Save Time and Money. And for those of you who are already living in a condo and listening to us as we have our second cup of coffee together, Kay Sine and I are going to be chatting about the difference of living in a home of your own, a rental apartment, or a condo that you have now purchased and maybe wondering how life is going to change or differ, or thinking about buying. And so for the next hour or so, we're going to be talking about condo communities and the fun, the fear, the frantic nights of worrying about what you're going to do with the dog or whatever else it is that's your problem that you didn't have when you didn't have to answer to anyone or be part of a larger community. And so, good morning, Kay, and how are you today?
Good morning, Natalie. I'm just fine, and I'm so looking forward to talking with you again.
Well, I'm pleased that you were able to find time in your busy schedule to give my listeners a heads up and some insider tips on how to make life in your condo, if you're anticipating moving to one, easier on you by knowledge. And, of course, that's one of the big things about what I do in my career, in my life, is to give people information which helps them to make intelligent decisions. And so today, that's what we're going to do with you. And so, first of all, Kay, what makes you an expert in condo living?
Well, that's an interesting question and a good one. I moved into a condo. My husband and I were downsizing. And when I moved in, I had a horror story right off the bat. I was called the day that I moved in by the board president, who told me I could not park in my driveway.
What was the driveway supposed to be for?
That's what I asked her.
Oh, okay.
She didn't bother to answer that. She just told me it was a rule, and I should have known that because it was in the governing documents.
How many pages was this governing document?
Probably 50 for the declaration, another 30 for the bylaws.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was that I didn't even know what governing documents were. I had not been given a copy of them before we purchased the condo.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't know there were rules like this, that you're not allowed to park in your own driveway?
I had no idea there was a rule like that. She brought me the governing documents that evening, and I spent the night reading all this legalese, which is very difficult to understand. But not only was that rule in there, there were many others in there, of which I had no idea, of course. So I got a real awakening that night.
How long did you and do you still live in that condo?
I lived in that condo for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer live there. And 2 months after I moved in, I got on to the board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to make some very good changes over the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
And that was definitely one of them.
So first you were an unknowing, uneducated condo buyer. Then
Correct.
You became a board member in the condo. What happened next, Kay?
The next thing that happened was, at that time, when I was on the board, we were what's called a self-managed association.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Pardon me?
What does that mean?
That means the board and or owners do all the work. make all the decisions, hire all the contractors, make all the rules, enforce the rules, set the budget, all of that.
Is that the norm?
It is the norm for a self-managed association.
Okay.
Well, we decided that we didn't like all that work and that none of us had moved into a condo to have to do all that work. We moved in to get out of working.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to hire a management company. We did that. We had that company for 2 years, but felt like they were using us as a training ground because they trained 4 different property managers on our property in a 2-year period of time.
So that didn't give you much continuity or ability to relax a little. You were constantly monitoring the new people that were coming in?
Correct.
Okay, so condo management is a business. People who live in condos and who are on the board, if they don't want to manage it themselves, so I'm gathering from what you're telling me, will hire an outside corporation or company that is actually responsible for condo management or managing that particular facility?
Correct.
And they manage more than one, I assume. Or they could manage more than one, not just the facility in which you live, but maybe others as well.
Yes, that can be the case. Also, there are condo associations where there is an on-site manager, and that's the only association that person manages. So it can be either way.
I see. So you were responsible for helping make the decision of this particular condo board to put it out there to someone professional to do it, but it wasn't exactly a huge and wild success.
Correct.
Okay, what happened next?
Well, we fired them. And then we sat in my living room and looked at each other and said, well, now what are we going to do? Because when we hired the company that we just fired, we had also interviewed all the other management companies in the area, and we didn't like any of them. So the board looked at me and said, Kay, why don't you manage our association?
So they took you from homeowner and board member to the professional condo manager?
Correct.
Well, that was a leap, wouldn't you say?
It was. But I thought, well, I'm living here on the property, and I can do this. I had done a lot of the work on the self-managed board anyway. So I had to resign from the board because of the conflict of interest.
Yes.
And then I started managing them.
Now, how long did you do that?
I managed them for 3 years, and at that time I also word traveled in the community, and so, in the big community, not the condo community, word traveled outside of that community, and I had others call me to manage their associations. So I started managing several associations part-time. Then I got a call from a woman who was looking to sell her management company in the area where I lived. And so after all negotiations and everything was said and done, I did purchase her company. And I incorporated my own company at that point in time, set up an office, and went the full-time route. And that was in 1997.
Wow. So this has been quite a journey for you. And then the culmination of that is actually passing on that information to others who are in need of the information you didn't have when you bought your own condo.
Right. That's right. I have a little bit of a motto. What buyers don't know will hurt them.
Clearly. And, of course, I don't know if you ultimately ever did get to in the time. Are you still living in that condo, by the way?
No, I am not.
Okay. When you did you ever get to park your car in the driveway?
Yes.
Okay, you just changed the rules.
The first thing we changed.
That was great.